Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining the first office hours event. Really excited to have you here. I'm Kellan. I'm the director of growth, and I'm here with Ashley. Hello.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Looking forward to walking you guys through the build process and then hopefully reconnecting and answering some questions after this.
Yeah, this is exciting. This is going to be really good. I know we've been looking for ways to talk to more people more quickly. So I figured this would be a great way to meet everyone, and you guys can meet us, and then we can also answer a bunch of questions and give you some knowledge at the same time. Quick note, if anyone is available next week, we have our open house in Shelter Glen, on Shelter Glen Way in Santa Rosa, California. So if you want to go take a little road trip north of San Francisco, we have a beautiful home that will be going live for sale. We also have a private tours on Thursday and Sunday, November 17th and 20th. Myself and Ashley will be there, and we'll be touring people around the home, and you'll be able to see what a beautiful Dvele home looks like. So we'll just give it a couple more minutes just to see who flows in here, see if anyone has any questions. But how's your day going, Ashley?
It's going well.
Yeah,
Like
sunny
I
in
was
San
saying, it's a
Diego.
little chilly here in the office. Just turned the heat on, which I know is surprising being here in San Diego, but
Yeah.
It looks like we have some questions over in the chat, and everyone feel free. There is a chat up. If you have any questions, you can post them there, and then hopefully we'll get to them by the end of the presentation today and make sure all of your questions are answered. And I think, Kellan, correct me if I'm wrong, we will have a recording of this that we can send out. So if you
Yeah.
guys have to leave halfway or you join late or just want to revert back to it, we will be able to send that out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've been recording since we started, so we'll see if we need to shorten it in any way and edit it. But yeah, we'll be sending out the recording to everyone via email after, and then we're also going to be posting it on YouTube, our YouTube channel, so people can find it there and see what it's all about.
Shall we get started?
Yeah, let's kick it off.
Awesome. Well, hi everyone. My name is Ashley Hicks. I'm the director of sales here at Dvele. I've been with Dvele for about 3.5 years. What we want to do today is really just go over a sort of high level overview of the build process from sort of A to Z. It seems like that's where most people kind of have the most questions when they're looking at building their new home is where do I get started? What parts of the project will Dvele help me with, and sort of, you know, how do I go from there? So hopefully this presentation today kind of illuminates the various steps in the process. And yeah, looking forward to walking everyone through it. Um, so the first thing I'm sure, and one of the most exciting things as you start to potentially build your new home and start planning is choosing the model. And so there's a lot of questions that go into it is, what can I build on my lot? What designs do I have to choose from? When working with Dvele, we do work off of a set of standard plans. So if a lot of you have been on our website, you'll see that we actually have a full catalog page on our website where you can scroll the various standard plans that we offer. So we have actually just launched several new floor plans we're super excited about. Definitely take some time after the call today to check those out, and you can actually download them from the website. But we do have standard plans ranging from everything from ADUs, single story floor plans, all the way up to much larger sort of multi-level floor plans. So these have been designed by our internal team of architects and designers, and they're really meant to bring indoor-outdoor living into the space. You'll also notice as you look at those floor plans, they do have the dimensions and sizing there. So as you start to kind of plan, picture the home that will work on your lot, you'll actually be able to see dimensions and kind of see what will fit and won't fit on your property. Anything to add to that, Kellan?
Yeah, so like you said, the new catalog is up, which is really great. So you're going to see all of our available plans. We'll be adding more to this page as our design team finishes them. There'll be more coming online. We have a bunch in the funnel. So if there's something there you don't like, just stay tuned and we'll be releasing updates as new plans come online. And what else? I think that's
I
about it.
think
I think we might have some more finishings come too, but I'm not sure.
And I think a big question that we get a lot from clients who are looking at our floor plans is what's the degree of customization that we provide? We have launched a variety of new plans really with the purpose in mind to limit the amount of customizations of the homes. And what this allows us to do is it allows us to use a lot of automation in our production facility. That way, the homes that we're producing are much more precise and much more consistent. So while we don't allow major floor plan customizations, you guys will have the option to choose all of your finishes and all of your fixtures for the home, which we'll cover in a later slide. But again, we have a variety of plans to choose from. Hopefully, those offer a lot of options for different properties as well as personal preferences. So the next step in the process that you guys might start considering is the piece of property and whether that's suitable for this kind of construction. So there are several different elements that go into the planning stages as well as the feasibility stages to make sure that the piece of property that you're planning to build your home on works for delivery, works for the size home you want to build, as well as some of the less glamorous details like zoning and things like that. So what we're here to help you guys with as you go through that process is really helping determine the feasibility of the build on your property. So one of the very first things that you'll do when you start to speak with a representative here at Dvele is, can we access the property? Can we get all of the cranes, get the mods, all of that delivered to the build site? And if you're in California, you're probably used to a lot of lots where maybe there's winding roads, maybe there's overhead power lines. So our team can help you guys evaluate whether there's any sort of red flags as to accessing the build site. Another part of that is having adequate staging area. So these homes are built to about 90% completion at our production facility. Those are placed on big trucks and then shipped into the build site. And then we actually use a crane to take that off to the truck and then deliver it onto the foundation. So we do need some adequate staging area. When we look at lots that are extensively sloped or maybe in more urban areas, it's good to pay attention to see if there's adequate staging area to get all of the equipment and mods to the site. Other things that we'll want to evaluate are, things like utilities. Are these accessible? Do they need to be added, beforehand? We'll check out the grade, the slope of a lot, see, how labor intensive a property might be from a site work perspective. So these are all things that, a team member here at Dvele can sort of help you analyze as you're either looking for the right lot, or maybe you have a property and you're interested to discuss what costs might be involved for a specific floor plan.
Yeah, that's perfect. Something I just thought about is a lot of questions around, do we help people find land? And we don't. We're not realtors and we're not licensed to do that, but we can put you in contact with our realtor partners. We have a few different contacts throughout California and some of the neighboring states. Otherwise, you would want to work with a realtor almost as soon as possible in the process because it can take some time to find it, find the right lot, especially one if you're going to be building modularly, and then also ones within your budget and in the right areas. So the land piece, correct me if I'm wrong, actually is usually a really big hurdle. We really want to make sure it's the right type of land to accept a modular home like ours, but you also want to make sure that it's the right land for where you want to be living as well.
Exactly, yeah. So it is a very unique type of construction. There are limitations, so it's good to do a full assessment of the build site with our team to make sure that it is a suitable property for one of our homes.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
Mhm. So, as we start to analyze and sort of assess the model you're the most interested in, the build site, all of those different components, what that'll help us do is then to put together a preliminary budget for you. So before we get into any contracts at Dvele, we want to really be transparent when it comes to pricing, as well as how that works and that and financing too. So the sort of confirm your order piece of the puzzle is really geared at putting together your budget, making sure that you have your financing solidified, and then proceeding with sort of that first phase, which is that design contract. Um, when it comes to financing, there's typically a lot of questions around, how do I finance this kind of construction? Can I get a loan? Is it like a traditional mortgage? So we have actually partnered with the Federal Savings Bank. This is a really experienced lender. They've been working in modular construction for years. But in order to finance this type of build, you would need to obtain a construction loan. And what we can help you guys with is getting connected with our preferred lender, going through that pre-approval process to understand, before you get into any contracts, what you've been approved for, and basically whether budgets meet expectations, et cetera. Um, Anything to add, Kellan?
Yeah, no, I mean, you covered it up there. Um, I think well, you highlighted this, but it's really important to find a lender that is familiar with construction loans. You're typically not going to get a regular mortgage, quote unquote, up front, because you're building off-site and there's not an asset technically at the land yet. A lot of insurance companies and lenders view this type of project very differently. So you'll really want to make sure that you're working with someone like the Federal Savings Bank, who is a construction loan expert. The Federal Savings Bank we've partnered with because they've funded over several billions of dollars worth of construction projects like this. So they're our first choice. We can make an introduction to Jeffrey there. He's really great. He has so many different types of ways to help you get financed and find the right way to do it. So this is another critical step too.
Yeah, and obviously Federal Savings is our preferred partner, but if you are coming to the party with another lender that you're interested in working with, we absolutely can assist you guys with the vetting process and make sure that draw schedules and payment terms align for that particular lender. And then in terms of our contract, Dvele does, what we call a two-phase contract. So the first phase is entering into that design contract with us. So the purpose of the design contract is we're finishing all of the floor plan details. We're picking all of your finishes, all of your fixtures. You guys will go through the upgrades process, calculating your solar needs, etc. And during this part of the design phase, you guys would also be solidifying your local contractor. So, while we handle all of the production process, all of the building of the home itself, you will be required to hire on a local GC who will complete things like initial site prep. They'll be building the foundation, and then they'll also be doing the install of the home and any finish work, such as decks, patios, driveways, things of that nature. This is a big part of the sort of process where we don't necessarily leave you hanging. So we go through a vetting process with any GC that you decide to bring on board. And then we have a whole stitching manual and educational process to basically make sure there's a good level of quality assurance in that part of the project, as well as the production process.
Yeah, well said. We don't leave you hanging. We help you, make sure you get the right general contractor, and we have a high degree of standards that need to be met for building the foundation and preparing the whole land for this type of modular project. So, also a critical phase. Thank you for highlighting that.
Yeah, and so just to go back real quick. So upon completion of that design phase, we'll have your finalized floor plan. We'll have all of your finishes and fixtures selected. So we'll have a fixed cost for manufacturing. And then the local GC will have an additional budget, that's the site component. So upon completion of that design contract, you'll have your sort of finalized budget in place, which will lead to the second phase, which is really the agreement to build the home. So that's when we move forward with manufacturing.
Got it.
But the fun part, so that's really picking all of your finishes, all of your fixtures. We really aim to provide a really seamless process here. We have what we call our standard lookbook. And so the lookbook has sort of pre-selected palettes that are arranged from colors, materials, etc. What's great is, when you're building a home, there's so many different components and pieces to it. We find that offering a set of options sort of helps guide that process, takes away a lot of the stress involved. And so you guys will work with our internal design team. They have expertise ranging from not only just design and architecture, but also interior design. So they really provide a consultative process there. Someone said they're getting bad feedback. Um, Hopefully you guys can all hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you well on my side. I'm not sure. There might be some sort of delay or I guess, or an echo. Okay, thanks, Beth. Okay, we'll just continue on and I'll see if there's a way we can fix it.
Perfect. Okay, so moving on to once we've finished your design process, we will have selected all of your finishes, all of your fixtures. What's really great is in your manufacturing price, we include all of those finishes and fixtures as well as appliances. So that's all going to be, bundled into the cost of your home, unless you are, of course, choosing upgrades for any options. So what we'll kind of transition to now is the home production process as well as site work. So typically we have a lot of questions around, how long is this going to take? When can I expect my home to be built? So the real great benefit behind modular construction is the speed at which we can complete the home. So in general, it's about 2 to 3 times faster than traditional stick-built construction. And the reason being is we're working in this controlled environment in our production facility where we have guaranteed labor. We don't have any weather delays. We have all of our materials, products really ready to go at the beginning of the workday. So that reduces a lot of the build time compared to traditional construction. Now, on average, when we're looking at a home of around, let's say, 2,000 square feet, that takes about 12 to 15 weeks to be completely produced in our production facility. And as I touched on a couple of times, we're building the home to about 95% completion in our production facility. And so what this does is it really reduces the need for a ton of on-site labor, which tends to be cost-wise a sort of higher costing labor when it comes to a build. So we're doing everything from installing floors, installing appliances, sometimes even some of your plumbing and lighting fixtures. Those are done all at the factory under a controlled environment. Now, once the home is finished in our factory, that's when we'll go ahead and ship it to the build site. We do handle all of the logistics and transportation as well. And then once it's sent to the site, that's when that on-site team will again take over and do the installation, the interior stitching, and then the rest of the site components, which I touched on, which typically are decks, patios, driveways, garages, etc. And then just to touch on the timeline on the back end. So once the home has been shipped to the build site, you're looking at an additional, sometimes I would say 12 to 16 weeks of finish work. So total build timeline is generally between 5 to 7 months total.
Yeah, thank you. I just thought of a common question that we get, Ashley. Are all of our homes built the same way? Does it depend on where in the states they're going?
Yeah, so they're all built the same way. We do modular construction, so we are building them in these large sort of, if you can picture like a shipping container. If you look down here at the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see these sort of building blocks. And so the homes are built and those components and then finished on site. Again, we like to do as much work as we can in the factory to help control costs and reduce the amount of work that's done on site.
Right, exactly. They're all built the same way with the same insulation, metal framing, all the components. We've done that for several different reasons, just because we're standardizing how we produce the homes. We want to be able to produce them consistently to the same high degree of quality, and um, producing a home to be climate resilient means we basically have to do the same thing every time. We really just want a really airtight envelope, watertight, fire resilient. So using metal framing for the walls, floors, and ceilings, and all the other pieces are really meant to be high quality, protect your home in Category 5 hurricanes. So we're producing the same incredible structure no matter where in the United States it goes. So don't be afraid if you think about a home that is going to be built for Utah and will it handle the cold weather and the snow on the roof. The answer is yes. We've shipped many homes to snow climates, so it's ready. Actually, John has a question about the build time in the factory, roughly about a 2,000 square foot home.
Yeah, so for around a 2,000 square foot home, we're typically looking at a build timeline of between 12 to 15 weeks in the production facility. And then the remaining timeline of another almost equal 12 to 15 weeks is the finishing on-site installation and finish work. So typically a home of that size is completed in between 5 to 7 months in most cases.
Great.
Now, one thing to consider too is your permitting timeline. We don't start any manufacturing until we have the permit in hand. And this is going to be subject to your local jurisdiction. So depending on where you're located, we can be looking at weeks, sometimes months. It just depends on your location. And our team can sort of help you navigate what we're looking at in terms of permit timelines, permit costs, and those sort of variable factors.
Yeah, exactly. We have another question from Frank. Is it practical to ship a house 1 story to Florida?
So our production facility is located here in Southern California. We primarily focus the most of our builds on the West Coast, just because of proximity. So if you are looking at shipping to a place like Florida, you are incurring um, shipping costs from California. So sometimes that can sort of offset some of the cost savings or sort of make the overall project budget a little higher. So we try to focus most of our work here in California, just for the best quality. We're looking to expand. We hope to have new factories within the next year or so. Hopefully further into the west central area. So TBD on that, we'll let you guys know as soon as we have additional factories and have the capacity to ship to the East Coast.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing I'll add is we have full intention to continue expanding. We get lots of interest with people in the central and eastern United States. And like we were saying earlier, because our homes are built for any climate, we would really like to serve parts of Florida and other, really climate stressed areas. So where people could really use a home like ours. So to reiterate, as Ashley was saying, as we add more factories, our radius will become further and we'll be able to add more states to our delivery zone. And then the other critical factor, correct me if I'm wrong, Ashley, is we want to set up a good network of general contractors in your region. They are a critical piece of the step. They're basically our eyes, ears, and hands on site. So we want to make sure we find really good people that even have experience producing these types of homes or connecting them.
Exactly.
Okay, on to the next.
So we already touched on this a bit, but part of this is going to be the delivery, the installation, and the finish. So we'll handle the logistical piece of getting the modules from the factory to the build site. Again, that's why that first sort of site evaluation step is so important, is making sure that there's not going to be a giant roadblock and halfway to your house, we can actually ship the mods to the build site. And so as we said, once they're on the site, the on-site team will do the remaining installation and finish, which is between 12 to 16 weeks on average. While the on-site team is doing a lot of the interior and exterior work on the home, we do want to reassure you guys that we will have a project manager who really oversees everything from a quality assurance perspective. So again, we're not just delivering the mods and saying, hey, good luck. We really want to make sure from start to finish that you guys are receiving a quality product and a quality process. So in addition to having that GC partner, your project manager will be overseeing everything from a quality assurance perspective. I think you're muted, Kellan.
I was sorry. I was just answering Bart. Bart was asking a question about if you have a site ready for building, how do you proceed?
So if your site is ready to go, what we'd want to do is really get started with that initial feasibility step. So I would say connect with myself or Kellan. What we'll do is we'll ask you for as much information on the build site as you have. So if you have surveys such as a topography, a geotechnical, pictures of the build site, you can send those to us, and then we'll get started on that initial sort of digital site evaluation. In some cases, we'll want to actually go to the build site in person and do a much more thorough assessment. That's something that, whether in most cases, that's when we have a site that's particularly challenging or we see some sort of red or yellow flags there. But first step is that initial assessment of the site. And then you kind of choosing which model that you're most interested in, and then us getting started on a preliminary estimate that's site specific to your build site.
Yeah, exactly. If you have land, that's a major milestone already done. And then, like Ashley was saying, the stuff that really comes after it is the unfun stuff, which is permits and all that. And so we really need to get that cleared up because we really want to make sure that we can help you and build on site. Okay, last and final stage.
So the the final inspection and move-in. So this is the really gratifying part, is when you guys actually get the keys to the front door. So we'll do a final inspection, final punch list. We'll test all of the various systems throughout the home before you guys get the keys to the front door, and then it's yours. And so Marvin had a question about specific formats for the topo. So we'd like to have that in a CAD file.
Okay. Do they only come in a CAD file, Ashley? Or should they only?
No, so typically your surveyor will send you a PDF of that survey, and then most engineers will also have the CAD file version as well. And so the CAD file is the version that our design team needs to actually get started on the design process.
Got it. Got it. Okay, so we immediately take that file and start using it to plan out your project.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. Well, no other questions have come in. This was really fun, everyone. Is there any other questions that we can go through or get a little deeper on one of these stages within the build process before we sign off? As you think about questions, I just wanted to remind everyone we are recording this. We will send this out. going to go out to email and YouTube after, so you can send it to someone else to watch and rewatch it and figure out some other questions. And then one other quick plug is next Thursday and Sunday in Santa Rosa, California. We have our open house on Shelter Glen Way. We're going to be touring a beautiful two-story home. It's gorgeous. There's a fire rebuild. It's in a beautiful neighborhood. And if you're near San Francisco, I would say make the trek there, because it's not often that we have an entirely empty, staged and designed finished home for people to tour. We're usually showing people through the factory and seeing different stages of the home, which is really cool too. But to actually see a finished home designed with the finishings and being able to meet the team is really a special moment. So if you can get up to Santa Rosa, please try.
And I just saw 2 questions come in, so I'm going to address these 2 before we sign off. So the first one from John is, after the design process, do you provide construction documents for the city to approve? So yes, so we will do all the engineering for the home, and have all the documents that are needed to submit to the city for permitting. Another question from Marvin was in regard to slopes and grades. Specifically, is there a cutoff point for the degree of slope or grade? So yes and no. When it comes to extensive slopes and graded lots, the biggest factor to really take into consideration is the cost to develop the site. So the costs involved to develop a site like that are really extensive. There's a lot of excavation required, a lot of backfill, sometimes retaining walls. So it's just a consideration that we really like the consumer to take on the budget side, is to really get a good understanding of the site costs involved to develop a more challenging site like that. And then, does that work with the expectations you have around budget for your total build?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Thank you. So I just threw a website into the chat there. If everyone's curious about the open house, the tour in Shelter Glen, it's shelterglen.dvele.com. On that website, you'll get some more details about the home, what's included in it, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. And then right at the top is a form, and you can sign up to one or two of the events, either the Thursday 5 to 7 p.m. event or the Sunday from 12 to 3. Myself and Ashley will be there. The project manager who's been leading the entire build will be there, as well as our director of project management. So you'll have lots of people to talk to and really learn about the house.
And just bouncing off of that as well, if you guys have any follow-up questions or you are ready to start talking about your project, Kellan can post this in the chat, but feel free to reach out to hello@dvele.com, and you'll be connected to Kellan or myself, and we'll be able to speak with you one-on-one about your project and basically get rolling.
Yeah, exactly. That'll come directly to us, and we'll get to you as fast as we can. So just let this wind down. If no one else has any other questions, we'll end this in just a few moments. And like I said, we've recorded it, so we'll send it out again. Really great to see everyone online. Glad you could attend. I really appreciate that. Thanks for following along, and thanks for your patience as we were getting back to everyone. We'll answer your questions as fast as we can. And every Thursday, we're going to be doing this. Some are going to be longer, some are going to be shorter. But every week, you'll either see me and Ashley on here, or one of our other team members, maybe one of the co-founders like Brandon, Kurt, and Chris. And then we can talk maybe a bit more high level about Dvele, or go into other details about the energy efficiency or the construction of the homes themselves. But every week we'll send out an email and let you know what the next week's topic is going to be. A couple more questions for you.
How many houses have we built to date? Oh gosh, I don't know off the top of my head.
I do. We just sent out. We're talking to a bunch of people about this. We have about 80 odd completed homes, and which totals about 200 modules. So Dvele's been around for about 5 years now, and all of the founders before actually were building homes and custom homes and energy efficient homes before. So the brothers, Kurt and Chris, were building in Canada, and they met Brandon, who we consider like our mad scientist. He knows all about energy efficiency, the envelope of the home. He's actually, I think, a third generation custom home builder, and then spent about a decade in Europe learning about their energy efficiency and building standards there. And I don't know why, but Europe is so far ahead of everyone else, and they're the future over there. So we're really happy Brandon spent time over there, and they have been building homes for a while, and then they brought all that knowledge to Dvele. So to reiterate, about 80 homes and about 200 modules to date. And in Truckee, California, we have a really beautiful development that we've been sending modules to, or mini homes. So that's a really cool place to check out. It's Village Camp Resort. I'll put a link in the chat in a moment. But Village Camp Resort is a really cool place to see all the modules that we've been delivering to for like a really cool like forest vacation home area.
And someone just posted a question about general cost per square foot. So yeah, what's the price? What is this going to cost you? So when we look at budget, there's obviously a couple of components to that. We have the fixed costs, which is the manufacturing side, and then you'll have your on-site budget, which is again, excavation, grading, foundation, install, finish work. And the scope of that really varies too, depending on the size of your project. So if you're building a huge deck, a long driveway, a 5-car garage, those are all components that will go into that site budget. But in general, when we look at cost per square foot, most of our homes are coming in the range of around $450 to $550 a square foot all in. So that's everything involved from manufacturing, transportation, shipping and install, site work, finish work, etc. The manufacturing cost of our home is about half of that budget. And again, that's inclusive of all of your finishes, all of your fixtures, all of the mechanical room components, HVAC, as well as solar panels and battery. And something to note too, about these homes, when we think about pricing, it's good to kind of think about what we're comparing it to, apples to apples. So there's a great deal of equipment, of tech, of energy efficiency that really goes into these homes. That's part of our standard offering. So this is all included in the manufacturing price of your home. So you're going to get all of those solar components, all the energy efficiency components included in that cost.
Yeah, exactly. Good point, Ashley. And because we're producing in a factory and because we're producing at scale, we actually get to put a lot of really good quality components into the home. So that's why we manufacture with metal, because we believe it's a better material. And what's really cool is the metal is actually all 95% recycled material. So we're not going out and cutting holes into mines. We're recycling it. And with this, you get really cool features like no termites, no mold, no mildew. You get a home that is really well built, really structurally well built, and really meant to last 100 years, truly.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. John is saying we sell time and fixed costs, which is great. Yeah, so exactly. So when you have a really well-built home like this, compared to a traditionally built home where you might use a lot of wood in the framing, the maintenance costs in those homes tend to be a lot higher. And it turns out that homes degrade and break down over time, and the maintenance that you have to do usually has to do with moisture getting into the home, whether it's like directly through the rain, humidity with mold, or materials that just degrade faster because they're around moisture. You don't have that in our homes because it's built with metal, and because we create such a tight air envelope and water envelope around the home. You just don't have the same level of degradation in the home. So like John's saying, you get a lot of time back, and you avoid a lot of headache, which means you just get to enjoy the home. And if you want to go vacation, you don't have to really worry about the home while you're away because it's that well built. Okay, so it looks like chats have slowed down. If there's any other questions you come up, just remember to email us hello@dvele.com. That goes directly to me and Ashley. So we'll get back to you as fast as we can. And otherwise, again, we're recording this, so we'll send it out after. Feel free to share it. And thank you everyone for joining. This was really fun. I can't wait to do more of them. Thanks, Ashley.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Looking forward to connecting via email, hopefully. And again, thanks for your time.
Bye.